Welcome everybody again. It's great to see how many people have signed up for this informational webinar and are showing their interest in the very first Heart Hackathon. Before we begin, we wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, whose Monash University campuses share, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay respect to elders past and present. Also, I want to introduce you to the team of Heart Hackathon. My co-hosts Julie and Dinasha, which are my co-presidents. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
It's always audio unmuted.
We're here.
Okay, then Jason, Taylor, and Ethan, who do an amazing job organizing the contest and will be helping behind the scenes today. And Shaun, the founder of the Heart Hackathon and our first speaker today. So since we're sharing the screen, I won't say hi to everyone because you won't see them anyways. You'll see them later on. So this is the first webinar we're hosting. And not only do we want to give you more information about the contest and answer all your questions, but we will also hear exciting talks from experts in the cardiovascular field. Cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death worldwide, with a significant proportion of patients suffering from heart failure. As the need for donor hearts exceeds availability, total artificial hearts are the best option for patients awaiting transplantation. And that's where we need your help. You can help drive innovation in this important and exciting industry. The Heart Hackathon is the opportunity for student teams to get involved, receive personal guidance, and present their ideas to a panel of international experts. So that's enough from my side. Let's let the speaker speak and start with Shaun, the founder of Heart Hackathon. Shaun, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Nina. And thanks very much, everyone, for joining. All right, so I'll be giving a brief overview of the Heart Hackathon, how it was formed, what it's all about, and how it all works. So for those of you, many of you have probably seen this before or might understand it, but there might be some new people in the audience that don't. So for those of you who have worked with engineering or STEM-based universities, you've probably seen other international student team competitions where young engineers have an opportunity to learn in a relatively real-world environment and gain valuable experience to translate throughout their careers. Really good examples of those include the Formula SAE competition, which you can see on the bottom right of the screen there, where students essentially design and build race cars and then send them around the world and then race against each other. They have Mars rovers, they even have blade competitions. But there's really not a lot in the space of biomedical engineering, and particularly for a consistent sort of themed competition where everyone has to work towards a single goal of building one really complex, unique device. And so successful competitions like this run annual international events where a complex engineering concept is continually improved. So that's where the vision for Heart Hackathon came, which was probably about 2 years ago when I had this idea, and I suggested it in a seminar, and I was very, very lucky that I think Julie and Dinasha were in this seminar, and I said, I just need some help putting it all together because I don't have the time or the knowledge on how student competitions work. And luckily they put their hands up and they were willing to help, and they dedicated substantial time and resources to doing that with the Miami team. So essentially what we've done now is created this competition, and the Heart Hackathon hopefully addresses that lack of biomedical engineering competitions around the world. So the vision that we came up with was really to connect students to cardiovascular innovation through an annual international total artificial heart competition. And the mission there is really a year-long competition enabling, equipping, and encouraging student-led innovation in cardiovascular design, co-created with world-leading institutions and industry professionals. So it's very important there that we don't just leave the students alone, we give them support, we get industry and academic institutions involved in this to support those students and to help them and really build them for their future careers. So As I said, so the Heart Hackathon is an annual international competition where student teams from around the globe will design, prototype, and test the innovative total artificial heart solutions to support a simulated human circulation. This really is more of a marathon than a sprint. Okay, so it's not one of those sprint competitions where you just want to very quickly build something and then you move on. This is a marathon. This is, we want student teams to be thinking 10 years ahead. Where can we get in the future? Because it's annual. The device that you develop in the first year can then be improved upon for year 2 and year 3 and year 4, and continually improved until you hopefully have a device that's really good and something that could possibly even work in a patient. So student teams will then compete annually against one another. This will be held at the annual ISMCS symposium. So ISMCS is the International Society of Mechanical Circulatory Support. It's one of the biggest conferences in the world in our field, and they're a key partner for this competition. And then winning teams will be awarded prizes. So there'll be a first, second, and third prize, and there might also be some other unique prizes given out as well. And the prizes will be awarded to the best total artificial hearts and accompanying commercialization plans. So how it works is that teams will form at universities around the globe, supported by an academic supervisor. Monash, for instance, already has a team. There's quite a lot of teams that have already formed. So if you haven't formed your teams yet, I suggest you do so soon and get started. But teams can enter next year or the year after as well if they want to. There's no limit. Teams will then design, prototype, and evaluate in-house their total artificial heart and develop an accompanying commercialization plan with that. The teams will then submit an entry form to register their interest. This is just so we know how many teams are going to be in the competition, which helps us being able to run it with our organizational committee. We're then going to have a virtual competition event in December of this year. Now, the reason for that is because the ISMCS conference has already happened this year. It was rearranged because of COVID from last year to be in May. But in future ISMCS conferences will usually be held in October. But because that's not going to happen this year, we're going to have a virtual event in December. After that, teams will then submit a preliminary report, which will be assessed, and then finalist teams will be announced. Now, it might be that all of the teams will be able to present as finalists, but we will probably have to have a limit because there's only so many people we'll be able to house at the conference. So that might be a competitive process. Then the finalist teams will then submit their technical progress and a commercialization plan, and then they'll present at the annual competition held within ISMCS, and prizes will be awarded to the winning teams. Now, ISMCS, the first in-person competition, will be happening in October 2023 in the USA. So the timeline for this is in 2022. So we've had our official launch. This is our first webinar. The 1st of October is when the entry forms close. So if you haven't signed up yet, please make sure you do so soon. December 1st is when the virtual event happens. And then March 1st is when preliminary report submissions are due. The finalist teams will be announced in May, with the final submission deadline in August, and then the grand final at the 2023 ISMCS conference in October. So the benefits of having a competition like this are many. For students, it provides a unique learning experience and quite a real world learning experience as well, because you're not just going to be designing and 3D printing something and then moving on. You're going to be involved in a really complex project, working in a team, developing those soft skills, those teamwork skills, working on a business and commercialization plans, which is something that is really fantastic for engineers to have some knowledge of. And also those technical skills as well, designing, prototyping, and testing a medical device. It also gives students an opportunity to connect with potential employers, which is one of the main reasons why this competition was developed in the first place. We wanted to essentially create jobs out of this, to have companies link up with the best students link up with the best companies, bring those people together to create jobs. So for industry and our industry sponsors and other industry that's related to this field, gives them brand exposure and access to the best and brightest young talent with experience in this field. They'll be picking up undergraduate students or graduate students already with experience of designing an artificial heart and working on a business plan. So they'll already have a solid understanding and adapt very quickly to the companies. And it also gives our industry partners opportunities to link with academics and researchers, and vice versa as well. It gives the researchers an opportunity to link with industry, exposure to the best young research students with experience in your field, and the capacity to develop your own Heart Hackathon team. And then for ISMCS, it builds our ISMCS community. It's a pipeline for the next generation of talent, and it brings in more conference attendance and an exciting new event at the conference. There's a lot of support available for the teams online. Some of these documents are not uploaded just yet, but we do aim to have all of them uploaded very, very soon, within hopefully the next couple of weeks. So as I said, some of them are up now, and you can have a look at our website. Hopefully someone can put that in the chat, just in case anyone doesn't have it already. So there's a competition announcement and a scientific overview as well. So we've got a document on there that talks about artificial hearts and why they're required, and some key limitations with current devices that can be resolved. There's competition rules, supplementary regulations, IP policies, grievance forms, marking criteria and a report template, entry forms, demographic forms, and guardian consent forms. So as I said, some of them won't be on there yet, but most of them will be on there very, very soon. And feel free to check back and use all of those resources in developing the teams and your artificial hearts. If you want any more information, please do go to our website. Feel free to email me at shaun.gregory@monash or at the Heart Hackathon contact email address. And if you also look at, there's a document on our website as well, which gives all of this information out as well. So please feel free to refer to that. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Very happy to answer questions now or later as well.
Great, thank you, Shaun. That was very informative. So we've got a question for you, which was submitted via Slido. And the question is, where do you see this competition 5 years from now?
That's a great question. So I think, this, as I said, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So in the first couple of years, I'm expecting pretty basic artificial heart designs. But in the 5 to 10 year time frame, I'm expecting quite complex, refined designs where it will be a relatively small device on the bench top that'll be functioning quite well. And I would also suspect that we'll have a lot more teams involved by then, and we will have created a lot of jobs for students and link them up with industry. That's my hope for the next 5 years.
That sounds great. So we've got a few new participants. We already mentioned Slido in the beginning in the chat, but I think I was too keen to hear the speaker's presentation to actually introduce it. So we've got a Q&A platform set up. You can join Slido via the QR code or go to the website and type in this number code, and then you can submit your questions or upvote questions if you have the same question. So for the next, and we got the Slido link also in the chat again, as well as tech help for if you guys have any problem with Zoom, feel free to take tech help or Zoom help, take Zoom help, and Taylor, our lovely assistant team, Heart Hackathon team member, will help you out. So, so much for that. Now let's go to the next presentation. And I would like to introduce our next speakers to you, which are Julie and Dinasha, co-presidents from MIME, a student team from Monash, who have created this competition.
Hello, everybody, and thanks to Nina for the warm introduction. And again, thank you for everyone, all the sponsors who've been involved, or all the organising committee, and also all the new members of the Heart Hackathon family that are going to be joining the competition as well. So thank you for everyone who's here today. And
hello, my name's Dinasha. The camera keeps going in and out, but we're both here. So we're excited for tonight. Today's the first webinar and the first time we've ever spoken to everyone as a whole, with all of our sponsors and supporters with us, and of course Shaun. And so we're excited to tell you about how to get involved. So we'll get started. So just a little bit of background on who we are actually. So we're from Miami, so Monash Young MedTech Innovators, and we're a student team based at Monash University, and we're an interdisciplinary organization, and we want to create positive impact through medical technology, healthcare, and biomedical innovation. And we want to do this by creating a collaborative environment amongst undergraduate students, graduates, PhDs, ECRs, and we want to do this despite people's discipline or what their background or study experience is, and their creed as well. So the reason why we're really in this space is because we want to create this interdisciplinary environment to ensure that medical technology can go forward with the input of everyone in the field.
So today is about how everyone here can be part of the future of artificial heart innovation. And again, this is an invitation for all students and advisors who are interested. And of course, this video will be available after the presentation as well. So share this amongst families or members or people in your environment who you think may be interested in joining the Heart Hackathon as well. So like Shaun mentioned, this is a one-year-long competition and it's a marathon, and will give students and industry professionals and researchers new networks and pathways and potentially job opportunities as well. With other sponsors or people involved at the end of the competition if opportunities arise. And today's presentation will be split into information for students, information that is relevant to finding an advisor and the importance of advisors as well in your teams, and some more information about sponsors and having the importance of team support to ensure your device at the end of the day is something that you're really proud of and something that will be a great presentation for you at the end of the day and a great learning experience as well.
So a little bit about students. So recruitment for your team. So before we begin, actually, each university will have one team representing that university, and it's up to the students from that relevant university to run that recruitment for your team to participate in this competition. You will also need to appoint a team lead, or you can have multiple team leads, but it has to have effective communication, obviously. And it doesn't matter what you're studying or background or anything, but obviously the relevant skills are necessary to make your team. We can provide advice on how you can run recruitment and what kind of criteria you should look for as well, but recruitment should be run independently. And we do recommend, because the cutoff date, the finalization date is October 1st, you should get on that soon and get that started at your relevant university. And also, depending on people's background and skill set, essentially, you want to make a very holistic and fulfilling team. So all the aspects of an artificial heart are covered, essentially. Eligibility. So we have no criteria on that. Anyone from background, genders, geographies are welcome to participate, and that is why this is an international competition, because we want people from around the world to participate. But the requirements are that students in the team have to be studying at least part-time at the university they are representing. There is no limit on how many students can be part of the team, but postgrad and graduate students can only make up 20% of the team. And so if you have any questions about that, let us know. But once the final team has been finalized, you will need to let us know how many postgrad grad students are participating, and then we can work out if there's too many or too little, or you can have more, etc. But feel free to reach out if you have any questions about that. And yeah, once again, no restrictions on participants in a team.
Yes, and academic advisors are essential to your team's success as well, and we think they should be a cornerstone on how you think about your total artificial heart device. And we really recommend finding an advisor that is suitable for your team, someone you really admire, someone you respect, and someone who can offer advice, listen, and direct you on your design and execution of your total artificial heart. So all teams must be supported by at least one academic advisor who's to be a senior academic and preferably with experience in the field of medical technology, which will be at your advantage. Teams will need to include their main academic advisor in the entry form, and teams may also find additional support from other mentors or advisors, whether it be clinicians, doctors, researchers, or academics, and business managers as well. As Shaun mentioned, it's important to have a business case at the end with your total artificial heart as well. So anyone you deem appropriate for your team. And in terms of having a number of academic advisors or mentors in general, there is no limit to that, but just one academic advisor is needed to fulfill the requirements to enter the competition. So for teams that, again, have difficulty in finding an academic advisor, we've had a lot of academic advisors reach out to us as well and are wanting to mentor a team, so we can pair you with the right person if that's something that you're really struggling with. And again, this is our email, just to see if you have any other questions like we've mentioned, just to send them our way.
So just in summary, if you do have a team together, everything's sorted out, you have that academic advisor, there is an entry form that you will need to complete. So this is a screenshot of what the entry form looks like, and you can find it again once on our website. You fill that out with your team name, preferably the university, team description, your academic advisor's name, participant names, etc. And then to actually participate in the competition, you will need to register for an ISMCS team membership, and this is $330 USD, and this covers all the team members' involvement in ISMCS future programs and events that they will run. Once you reach the end of the entry form, there is a payment information that you can follow as well. Once again, if you have questions, feel free to ask us, but it is very self-explanatory.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay, so again, we want to reiterate the importance of sponsorship and team support. So Shaun at the start mentioned a plethora of other engineering team competitions. And as we've seen with other teams, they at least require more than one sponsor. So that's something we really recommend for most teams, to find more than one sponsor for their financial support services and any other products or materials or equipment that you might need. So that's something that some students forget. And I think it's really important to think about where you're going with your device, and kind of think ahead about the right sponsors so they can give you the right support and products that you need to actually execute on designing and executing on your total artificial heart. So teams in the hackathon competition must find their own sponsors, and it's really important here to maintain records of your sponsors along with respective agreements. At the end of the competition, we will require a list of sponsors and their contributions during the competition, so we can ensure that it's fair for everyone across the board, and we can actually see if how much the sponsor actually contributed to the development of your total artificial heart. We also alluded to at the start educational support that the hackathon organising committee will provide. So this includes educational support and technical support as well. And again, teams can approach the host universities for any additional support.
And so just finally for students, so you are relevant for, you are responsible for updating the hackathon organising team if there are any changes to your team lead or any changes to what you've submitted in the entry form. And once again, I want to reiterate, the cutoff date is October 1st. So 2 weeks before this date, you will need to kind of confirm everything and get everything sorted, your team sorted, academic advisor sorted, sponsorship sorted if you can, but it's not required. But if you have any questions, once again, we can help you in all those aspects. But before your final proposal, get everything sorted.
And in summary, we'd like to kind of summarize what we talked about today. Important to form your team of interdisciplinary future tire innovators and disruptors. Find people who are from across the board, across university, and with a lot of diverse experiences. Find the right academic advisor for your team, and team sponsors are essential to ensuring the success of the total artificial heart as well. And again, complete the entry form, and then you'll hear more from the hackathon organising committee about the brief, what the expectations are, the report, and what that looks like as well. So that will be information coming soon too.
And finally, before we wrap off, this is a shout out to Miami. If you want to follow us in anything we do, these are all our handles. You can also join our mailing list. We have an amazing MedBytes newsletter, but also we do have a Monash team, and you can follow the Monash team's adventures as well. So yeah, that's it from us. We'll hand it back over to Nina.
Yeah, thank you, Julie and Dinasha. That was great. We also got a question for you, and it was submitted via Slido and upvoted a couple of times. And someone asked, does that mean only one team is allowed to register from each university, or there could be multiple teams from the same university?
So, yep. It's only one team from each university. And once you submit an entry form or something, and if there is multiple people from the university, for example, if we take, we'll take Monash University as an example. If students are interested in participating in this and they've filled out the entry form, they have a couple of students together and they want to participate, but there's already another team, we'll connect those two teams together so they end up becoming one. But as a rule, there is only one team representing one university.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was cool. So let's move on to our next speaker, which is from our major sponsor, Hydrix. Sam Liao is a cardiovascular engineer working at Hydrix since January 2021. He's responsible for product development and realization. Therefore, very relevant for our competition. And I'll now hand over to Sam.
Well, thanks, Nina. I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so good afternoon, evening, morning, everyone around the world, I guess. So yeah, firstly, I would like to thank Hackathon for inviting me to speak today. So my name is Sam, and I'll be talking about my journey as a biomedical engineer working in the cardiovascular area, and I'll introduce Hydrix and our involvement in the Hackathon. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at the end. All right. So I'm aware that some of you might be already medical engineers or biomedical engineers, and you are some of you are looking to get into this field, but you're not entirely sure what this could mean. So if you are already a biomedical engineer, just bear with me. I'll just cover briefly what biomedical engineers can do. So in general, biomedical engineers aim to advance healthcare and people's quality of life through applying technical engineering design principles and skills to solve medical and biological problems. So anything you see in a hospital will likely have been developed by a multidisciplinary team that could comprise of engineers, scientists, clinicians, and more. So this is sort of where the Heart Hackathon alluded to earlier. So some devices that biomedical engineers can work on are, of course, the artificial heart, which is why you're here, and other life support systems, dialysis machines, prosthetic implants, rehabilitation aids, and much, much more. So biomedical engineers are not only required in product development, but they can also work in hospitals for the management and maintenance of equipment. So in general, we want to contribute to society by having a positive impact on human health through innovation. So as biomedical engineers, we can work in a range of roles. So this can be from early fundamental research, design and development of devices and instruments to show proof of concepts, to performing post-market surveillance of commercialized products. So we often hear that life expectancy has increased, and I would have a guess that the continued innovation in medical devices has a large role in that. So what has been my journey? So I decided to become a biomedical engineer as I was fascinated by both medicine and engineering. The journey that moved me into cardiovascular area was through an opportunity to conduct work experience at the Prince Charles Hospital in Brisbane, which is one of the major hospitals in Australia implanting ventricular assist devices. So initiation of the work experience led me to complete a PhD in the field at QUT, which I thought was a fantastic opportunity to further develop my technical skills. So during my PhD, I was fortunate enough to obtain several grants that helped me get to my first ever international conference in Croatia in 2015, which was ISMCS, that was formerly known as ISRBP. So there I was able to start build a network of people in the field, and that led me to spend some time at RWTH Aachen in Germany. So the opportunity to learn from some of the world's leading experts was invaluable, and at the same time allowed me to attend other conferences in the same region. So following my PhD, I moved to Monash University, and which is in Melbourne, as we are aware, for a couple of years as a postdoc before transitioning from academia to industry at Hydrix. So since moving to Hydrix, I've been very excited to work on the Ludo MCS development platform. At Hydrix, we specialize in the development of control system for heart pumps and offer clients a wealth of knowledge and experience in this field. So Ludo is a pump controller that is suitable for development from benchtop testing to first in human and beyond. So the Ludo platform greatly reduces the development time of controllers, as Ludo has been designed with a safety critical architecture from the ground up and is suitable for Class 3 medical devices. So essentially, the platform allows the pump development to be more streamlined. So generally, the development of pumps will be performed with the off-the-shelf components and controllers, which often have components in the system that is a black box. So this approach may be perfectly fine as a proof of concept, but as a regulator in the future, they will want to know everything that is driving the pump. So this includes both the software and hardware, and see that the risk has been managed appropriately. So if you don't know what's happening, you can't really manage the risks. So it is also unlikely that for any off-the-shelf product will meet all the requirements for a particular device, hence the need for customization. Since Hydrix has developed the LUDO platform from fundamentals, we have full visibility of all aspects of the controller, including both hardware and software, which can be tailored to each unique pump design. For example, LUDO can easily integrate both physiological and motor control algorithms, but they are structured in such a way that they are independent of each other, meaning that any changes in the physiological control does not affect the motor control and vice versa. So another benefit is that as the pump development progresses, we can easily customize the graphical user interface, which is important as clinicians and engineers will want different information and workflows. So for example, clinicians generally do not want to change PID controller parameters or analyze basic currents and so on, but the engineers cannot do any development and tuning without these finer details. So some of the work I've been doing at Hydrix is tailoring our LUDO platform for client-specific pumps. So Hydrix on a broader level is a product design and engineering company specializing in the development of cardiovascular devices and technologies with over 10 years experience. So we assist clients from concept exploration and development to proof of principle prototyping, creating functional prototypes, and transfer to manufacturing and commercialization. So in addition to our product design and engineering teams, we have in-house expertise in clinical, regulatory, and quality systems implementation that we provide to clients that build greater confidence in the product development process. So Hydrix is a proud founding sponsor of the Heart Hackathon, aiming to help nurture and inspire the next generation of cardiovascular technology innovators. So over the past decade, Hydrix has been at the forefront of developing critical technology for clients who are building heart pumps. Hydrix's mission is to help tackle the global cardiovascular disease crisis through the development and distribution of innovative technologies and products that will transform lives. So our sponsorship of the competition allows broad engagement across the event, including educating student teams about the design of total artificial hearts, introductions to leading experts, and sharing insights and introducing them to the proprietary LUDO platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So we will take one quick question now and then move on. So someone asked, what are the main differences you found between working in research, like your PhD, and working in industry, like you're doing now at Hydrix?
Yeah, so that's pretty a common question that I get. So I think the main difference is that at research, you get to play with lots of cutting edge technologies and ideas, which you hopefully want to see in the market. Once you go to industry and work in Hydrix, generally we want to see the technology to be quite robust, and we want to find a way to make it feasible on a commercial scale. So the other difference is essentially timeline and budget. So timeline academia is generally not as rigid, and from the industry perspective, most people want things done yesterday. And in terms of budget, it's also very much more restrictive compared to academia. So yeah, that's what I would sort of sum it up as.
Great, thank you. These were interesting key points. So let's move on. I'd like to introduce our next speaker for the night from one of our other sponsors, magAssist. Thomas Logan is the Chief Scientist and Chief Engineer at magAssist since 2020. He has been leading the research and development of magAssist PVAD and multi-organ support system. So I'll now hand over to Tom.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tom Logan, the Chief Scientist and Chief Engineer of magAssist based in Suzhou in China. And we're a artificial organ company, and I will tell you a little bit about our journey developing an extracorporeal ventricular assist device. So magAssist is a startup company. We were founded in 2017, and it's been quite exciting to move through all of the startup company funding stages. We did our angel round, and then A and B and C funding rounds, and it's been very useful to be able to collect enough money to develop a medical product, which is an expensive and time-consuming business. For me, during that period, I've been very excited to develop an exciting product. So throughout that period, we basically started from nothing, developed the product, and then went through animal trials, and now we're into clinical trials. So we're based in Suzhou in China. So if, like me, you are not familiar with Suzhou, it's actually a city about the size of London, which has the fifth highest GDP in China. So that's where our main research office and our factory are based, but we also have offices in Beijing and Shanghai and Shenzhen. So basically all the big cities in China. But magAssist is not just a China-focused company. We also work with universities and consultants around the world, so particularly in Australia, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, and United States. And the company has grown quite big. So from nothing in 2017, we now have more than 100 employees. 50 of them are engineers, and many of them have PhDs. And we work across the world. This is our new research lab and factory in Suzhou. So for me, it was quite an exciting journey to get involved in a real medical device company. So to begin with, I was an academic. So I did my PhD and was a postdoc at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom. And that was really cool. It was really cool to work on all the newest technologies, and to be able to build so many exciting prototypes of all different types of product. I found it great as an academic, but slightly frustrating that all the things we developed were quite a long way from getting into the hands of actual consumers. And so I jumped across to industry as a consultant, and then to join magAssist. So as an actual engineer in industry, things are sort of the same. I mean, I still work in the lab, and I still do lots of exciting research and develop lots of cool technologies. The great thing about being in industry, though, is that you can actually easily get the product, the work out into the hands of real people. So at the top you can see our first clinical trial patient for the magAssist artificial heart product that we developed. The slight disadvantage of working in industry compared to academia is that everything really has to work. Whereas it was okay for prototypes in the university to work for a couple of hours to get the results and write the papers, in industry, and particularly with class 3 medical devices, they really need to work, and we really need to go through all the regulatory and quality processes to make sure that really happens. But it's quite satisfying to know that you've actually properly finished the product and that it really works. So for magAssist, I've been involved in magAssist since very near the start. This is our overall product pipeline. So to begin with, we developed the magAssist, which is an extracorporeal ventricular assist device, which supports patients for quite a long time, up to 30 days, whilst they're waiting transplant or as a bridge to recovery. That product is now largely complete, and I've moved on to working on the JamboAssist, which is our percutaneous ventricular assist device. So that's inserted through the patient's femoral artery into their heart. To go with those products, we're also developing an ECMO product, the breather assist. So that adds an oxygenator, which we're developing to the magAssist pump, and we also have the donor life product, which is a warm organ support or warm organ transportation system. So the magAssist is the product that I've worked on really from the start, and That's based around a maglev-based blood pump, which is a circulating blood pump. And by using maglev-based technology, we eliminate all the contact surfaces which otherwise can give hemolysis and thrombus risks. And as well as the pump itself, we also have developed a very usable console and the other parts of the system to let it really be used in the ICU. So why in China? Well, actually, China has a very big population and an aging and developing population, and that means that heart disease is creeping up as the number one cause of death. And this market's not been very well served by some of the Western companies, and so actually it gives us a great market for developing this type of product. However, magAssist is definitely has a worldwide focus in our developments. So the magAssist product can be used mostly as a LVAD, so supporting the patient's left atrium, but it can also be used as an RVAD supporting right atrium, and two of the pumps can be used as a BiVAD for biventricular support. The part of the product that I've mostly been looking at is the development of the maglev motor. So I was responsible for the architecture of this device. So particularly looking at the maglev control system. So I think it's been a very interesting thing to develop compared to many of the other competitors for this type of device. We have incorporated all of the control system within the pump itself, which is excellent in terms of the reliability. And it's been quite a challenge, but an exciting challenge to compact everything into that. We've also made excellent progress in terms of some of the sensors, particularly position sensors, and in terms of the control systems to give really excellent stability and performance. And on this bottom picture, you can see that our development over 3 years from nothing to basically the final product. And you can see that within the first 6 months, we actually were able to get something basically limping along in the lab, and through various stages, we've been able to get it to a real product. So actually, the timescale of the Heart Hackathon is quite reasonable, and you should feel inspired that you should be able to make something quite reasonable in the time you've got. So as well as the maglev and control stuff that I'm really passionate about, we also have good expertise in terms of the design of hydraulic systems for maglev for ventricular assist devices. So by very carefully optimizing the pump, we can minimize the shear stress throughout the device, and also we can have excellent secondary flow, which prevents thrombus formation in the device. So we're very pleased with the results of this development. We've also put a lot of effort into making sure that the device is easy to use and also looks quite good. So this UI gives us a platform that we can use in the magAssist and also some of our other future products. We've also developed a lot of innovations. So we've filed a lot of patents both in China and around the world. So some results. So in this picture, you can see hemolysis results for the magAssist device compared to 4 other predicate devices. So in this picture from left to right, you can see the blood samples over time, and you can see that in the magAssist device, the blood samples basically stay clear throughout this 8-hour test, and compared to some of the predicate devices, particularly the mechanically supported devices, which you can see at the bottom. And actually, and from the data that you can see on the right, the NIH value is very, very competitive. And similarly, from the lab tests, you can see that in our device and the other maglev device, There are no deposits, no thrombus formations, whereas in the mechanically supported devices, it's quite easy to get thrombus formations. So this low risk of hemolysis and thrombosis means we have excellent support for the patients. And we've also then gone from the lab to clinical practice, to clinical trials. So these are some of the centers in China that we're doing our clinical trial, and these are our first 3 patients. So I was thrilled to be able to meet our first patient on the left in Wuhan last year. As my first medical device, it's very, very heartwarming experience to see someone who's actually living because of it. So yeah, it's an excellent and very exciting thing to develop. And I think we've achieved a lot in our first 5 years, and we look forward to working with some of you in the Heart Hackathon in the future, and hopefully getting involved in some of your projects.
Thank you, John. That sounds like an exciting journey you've been going through with your company. I think in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to the last presentation now, and we will put the questions to the end. If that's fine for you?
That's great. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we've heard a lot about companies developing bots now, but this competition is about artificial hearts, right? So to date, there's only one company that has a commercially available total artificial heart on the market, and that company is Syncardia. And today we have the pleasure of having Steven Langford attending our webinar. He's the Director of Clinical Support at Syncardia and is going to be our final speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Langford, and it is a pleasure to be here with you today in the first World Heart Hackathon. We are proud and very happy to be a platinum sponsor of this effort, and we wish you all the best of success. Syncardia Systems is a Picard medical company, and we are a portfolio company of Honeywell Lake Ventures. Syncardia temporary artificial heart is the only FDA approved device that is designed to address the needs for patients with biventricular heart failure. It has been used throughout the world and across the globe to save hundreds of lives and extend the lives of well over 2,000 patients. The Syncardia total artificial heart actually comes in 2 different sizes. A normally used 70 cc heart, which fits in most normal adults, and a smaller 50 milliliter size that fits in adolescents and smaller women. It is a simple and an elegant design. It is small, it is lightweight, and very durable, and offers very great hemocompatibility with very low shear to the blood. It is powered by an external portable pneumatic driver. The unique things about the artificial heart is that it gives a true pulsatile flow, very similar to a natural heart. The shapes of the blood chambers, the angle of the valves that are inside the heart, and the pneumatic air source gives a very a normal pulsation of blood to the person. We have a proven track record of over 2,000 patients that we've implanted worldwide. The age range of patients reaches down to 9 years of age and up to 80 years of age, with the application in patients as small as 1.16 up to 2.8 meters squared. We are continuing to develop technology as we currently are involved in improving our current Freedom design. By the way, the Freedom driver has supported over 450 patient years of patient support. And we're also looking forward to the next generation of portable driver, being smaller, lighter, and quieter version of the Freedom driver, with continually looking forward to the next generation of total artificial heart. As we design the next artificial heart, and we have several design challenges. Some of the challenges we face in designing a new total artificial heart is that it must fit with the normal physiology of the person's body. Some artificial hearts in the past have been so large and heavy that it's been difficult to accommodate, except in very, very large individuals. We need to be able to attach it securely to the human physiology so that it will be able to remain in place and not to be jarred loose during normal patient activities. Speaking of patient activities, it needs to pump an adequate volume of blood against a physiologic range of afterload and be, again, able to accommodate for the range of preload pressures that come into the heart during exercise and such. It needs to be biocompatible, of course, and above all, it must be durable. A typical heartbeat will beat around 40 million times every year. To give you some idea of the range that we need to be able to accommodate with an artificial heart. We believe that a fully implantable total artificial heart is achievable, and it will provide a real alternative to heart transplantation. Our aim is to provide the gift of time to the patient and their families with every single heart that we implant. As a strategic goal, we want to assemble the world's best engineers and engage with the medical community and use our passion and innovation to new generations of technology and make this a real alternative to transplant. We're so pleased to be a platinum sponsor of the world's first heart hackathon. And from Syncardia, we wish all of you the best of luck in your endeavors.
Okay, great. That was very informative as well. And we've got a question for you, Steven, which was submitted via Slido. And that's something also I'm personally super interested in. It's a question about the future of artificial hearts. Do you think artificial hearts are the future? Or do you think 3D printed hearts or animal transplant might be like an alternative?
Well, first of all, to address the 3D printed, that is an artificial heart because that is obviously not natural. And artificial hearts are yes, they are very essential. There has always been a deficit in the number of human donor hearts that are available to meet the needs of the population that needs heart transplantation. When you're talking about xenotransplantation or possibly a stem cell grown heart, those are two different subjects. Xenotransplantation was an interesting subject that happened this year, actually. And there are several hurdles that still have to be handled. And in all cases, whether it be an artificial heart, xenotransplantation, or growing stem cells into or to supplement your heart, those are all important solutions that hopefully will help out to give that gift that I talked about in the video, the gift of time to have a good quality of life and to be able to solve some of the problems of biventricular heart disease.
Thank you for that answer. That was good. So getting back to magAssist, which I cut off before, I'm sorry for that. We have another question for you as well. And someone wrote, incredible progress over 5 years. What were the biggest challenges magAssist faced being a startup company, Thomas?
I think being a startup company, I think obviously being a startup company, it's difficult to, I think securing all the funding and stuff is very important to be able to get the company to run properly. I think actually our core team has a lot of competence and a lot of experience in different within this area for quite a long time, and actually also being in China has been quite a quite good situation for being able to do that. So I think we've been able to get in a good position for being able to provide the resources to make the products happen. I think also being in China has been quite an exciting opportunity. I think compared to the progress of developing things in Europe, actually, it was quite awakening to come over here to see just how quickly we could get things done, particularly in terms of the manufacturing, in terms of the supply chain. So it's quite an exciting place to work, and quite an exciting thing to work on.
Yeah, definitely super exciting. So we're already 5 minutes over time now, and just answered one question for each company. But we want to allocate a bit more time for those who are interested to ask further questions and answer all of them. So just so you know, you don't have to stop asking questions if you've still got something you want to ask us or the presenters. So on Slido, we have a few more questions, I think. Yeah, we've got one. I think it's also for Steven. Do pneumatic total artificial hearts have a future in a market where the more efficient continuous flow total artificial hearts are emerging? Steven, what do you think about that?
We're always looking toward the future, and while there are a lot of research activities going on with continuous flow, there are still a lot of companies that are developing continuous flows, but they're actually trying to incorporate a pulsatility to their continuous flow. So there is still a lot of research that needs to be done on this. Efficiency is not the entire story. We actually need to have our patients survive long term, and currently the FDA approved application for the pneumatic artificial heart is as a bridge to a subsequent transplant. Our ultimate goal as our company is to help to develop an artificial heart that could be used permanently as an alternative to transplant. Whereas right now, most of our patients, within 2 years, almost all of our patients are transplanted. So currently, the pneumatic artificial heart is the only thing that is viable. And in the future, I'm sure that there will be future developments of other pump types. And that's what we're looking forward to.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, definitely interesting what's gonna be the next thing coming on the market there, or developing in research. So we've got a question for Shaun now. I think it's regarding the final submission and about the expectation for the final submission. Someone asked, do we need a functional total artificial heart, somewhat reliable, or does the proof of concept, crude and unreliable, suffice? Shaun?
Good question. Look, in the first year of this competition, all of the entries are going to be crude and unreliable. I think we accept that. It's very difficult to build these devices, to build a functional pump that is small and powered by a small controller and is reliable. It's a challenge. So we're not expecting you to have something that could fit into a patient's chest that has 10-year reliability within the first year. We're expecting a pump that can at least deliver 5 liters a minute against appropriate pressure head for systemic and pulmonary circulations, a controller that can power it. You know, you turn up to the competition and you can plug it into the power if you want and it'll go. These are the kind of things that we're expecting, but we want to see how far teams can get. We don't want you to be limited by any expectations that we have. You know, if teams can produce small devices that can pump 10 liters a minute, that have physiological control systems in there and adequate commercialization plans, then this is a wonderful thing. And I'd also just like to add to what Steve said before in his answer about pneumatic versus continuous flow artificial hearts, in that we have decades of clinical experience with managing pneumatic total artificial hearts. We have no clinical experience managing the rotary total artificial heart at the moment. So we don't know how well they're going to perform. And I think that's really important, that while companies are developing these things and while they are being researched, we just don't know if they're going to work at the moment. So it's very important that we have the current option that we have.
Thank you, Shaun. That was a good answer. We've got one more question for you regarding funding. How will different levels of team funding be considered in the judging?
It's a very good question. That's not something that we have incorporated into the funding criteria. So it really is up to the teams to arrange their own funding. They will be reporting it, but at this stage, at least, it's not incorporated in the marking criteria.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, it's not directed to anyone specific. I just ask it into whoever feels like they have something to answer, just go ahead. And the question is, what are some challenges such as physiological factors, limitations to artificial hearts, to creating an artificial heart that works as well as a transplant?
Steve, did you want to take this? You probably have the most.
Sure. Yeah. You know, as an engineer, we always need to start with the end in mind. One of the things that we always need to do is take a look at design requirement specifications. So each team shall probably be looking at what the inputs to the artificial heart will be and what the outputs you expect to have. And those are part of getting the requirements for the design. Also, the risk of an artificial heart. There are many risks that you need to look at. And when we're designing an artificial heart, there are the pressure differential between the input to the artificial heart and the output to the human physiology is very, very important. Those are two very different pressures, and those all key into the end result. And that is, how is it going to affect the brain, the kidney, the liver, and the digestive systems? Those are all major systems that need to have the appropriate and proper flow and pressures to be able to function as they do for a normal person.
Thank you, Steven. That was a good answer. So I think we are that was everything which was submitted to us until now. Regarding questions, if you guys have any further questions, feel free to email us. We're gonna send out the recording via email later, and also every question which is gonna submit it to us later and might be interesting for everyone. We're gonna answer that and get that to you as soon as possible. So I want to thank all of the participants, all of the speakers, all of the sponsor speakers, which I highly appreciate attending our webinar, especially within the different time zones, which is a bit difficult to make work. But we did it. If it's a great topic, I think everyone is interested in being part of it, which is amazing and exciting. I also want to thank the Miami volunteers, which helped us behind the scenes today to make everything as smooth as possible. And of course, the whole Heart Hackathon team. So that's it. Now, guys, you can enjoy your evening, night, or whatever time it is for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.